This is a short chapter, but I trust in us. I think we can talk about it for a long time.
I think we can make that happen, yeah. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And we have a chapter.
Gestation 1.3.
Really short chapter.
Really short chapter. We are now approximately 1% of the way through Worm.
I'm actually surprised it's that high.
I mean, going by, you know, my rough Google Play estimate. I don't know how.
It might be rounding up.
It might be rounding up. Yeah, so we're 0.5% at least. So you just read this chapter.
Yeah, I did.
Would you like to tell us what happened?
Okay, sure, yeah. So Taylor is embarking into the night. This is, I guess it's the weekend, and as she declared at the end of last chapter, she's going to go out and superhero, I guess, this weekend, whatever that entails.
But it's like Sunday night, right?
Sunday night?
I think she said she worked on her costume all afternoon Saturday, did the finishing touches on Sunday, and now it's midnight.
Oh, I missed that. Okay,
so presumably it's a school day tomorrow, but she's decided. It can't wait.
Okay. I guess it's one of those things where you're like, I'll just finish my costume, and then it takes way longer than you expect. All right, so it's Sunday night, I guess. I missed that. She's going out into town. We get a lot of background about the town. Apparently she goes running every morning and every other afternoon, and so she really knows the town. And she usually stays in the nice part of town, but now she's going to the bad part of town, which we will talk about. And
the docks.
Exactly, the docks. We learn that there's a lot of gang activity, and there's a lot of supervillain activity in this town. And she's walking down a street in the bad part of town, and she sees this group of people. It's a group of Asian people. I don't actually know if they're Asian guys or if it's a mixed gender group. And she says that this is the gang called the Asian Bad Boys, the AZN Bad Boys, or ABB for short. And most of the people in the gang are not capes, but they are headed by a couple of people with powers. And so then we see Lung, which I have done some research, and it does mean dragon.
Yes! Oh my god, Jenny, I am so pleased that you thought to look that up.
Well, actually, I asked Faith, because I looked up Lung translation, and it wouldn't translate the romanization for me. All the translation apps would only do characters. I was like, this is useless. And so I looked up what dragon is in Chinese, and it told me it was long, or long. And I was like, okay, that's really close. So I asked Faith, our friend who's living in Taiwan, and she said that Lung is just a different romanization of dragon, and that sometimes it's actually, these days people are spelling it Loong to differentiate it from the word long, and to refer specifically to a Chinese-style dragon.
Amazing. I was not remotely prepared to talk about Long's name, except that it's, Long is close to long, which means dragon.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say. So, listeners, may I present Jenny. She's amazing.
So I was completely wrong about his powers, because it turns out it wasn't lungs like the lungs in your body at all. He's sort of like a dragon, and what happens is apparently his strength increases the longer he fights. And Taylor says she doesn't know if there's any upper limit to it. He also starts growing scales and armor and claws, and he can breathe fire. And all of these powers increase the longer he fights, which amazing superpower. I've never seen that. Oh yeah, and he only starts going back to normal if there are no enemies left. Yeah, she says she doesn't know what triggers it. Maybe it's adrenaline or something. So he's there, and he's really dangerous. And she says that he has a subordinate named Oni Lee, who can duplicate himself. But she doesn't see Oni Lee there, so she's not sure if he's present. But there are a bunch of non-powered members of the gang. Is there mundanes? Is there a term for people who aren't capes? Normies?
I don't, if there is one, it's not jumping to mind.
Okay, we'll find out. So they're all there, and she thinks she sees weapons, and so she's like, I have to overhear. It seems like they haven't noticed her, so she sneaks onto a fire escape and creeps up and listens to them, and hears Lung talking about how they need to shoot all the children And she sees there, like, someone lights a match to, like, light a cigarette or something, and she sees that they all have guns. She's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna go kill some kids? And that's when the chapter ends.
Dun, dun, dun.
I didn't talk about the details of her costume. I think we can get there.
Oh, yeah.
But
There's a lot. I mean, that was a great summary. You covered everything.
You.
You went into some of the very exciting details about this chapter, and I think we'll come back to a bunch of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Overall thoughts on the chapter?
I mean, really, really quick. It felt really like a scene-setting chapter.
Yeah.
It ended on this, like, cliffhanger of, like, they're gonna kill kids. I feel like they're not gonna kill kids. Like, that that feels like a sort of sensational chapter ending beat, and it's gonna turn out that, like, the children, or, like, a name of another gang, or, like, I don't know, something that's, like, more reasonable than they're gonna go kill a bunch of children, because who would do that and why? Like,
right, sort of a classic misunderstanding.
Yeah. Just something about the tone and the way it's set up just makes me think.
It'll be interesting.
It's not what it seems like.
It'll be interesting to see how much of... Is that just like a pure cliffhanger where next chapter immediately will get more explanation and Taylor's like, oh, that's what it means? Or whether, it'll be more...
Right, is it like a fake cliffhanger, or is it more of a long-term
Yeah, it definitely
confusion?
Feels like we had a couple of exposition beats in this chapter that Wild Bunny
there
had to
wasn't
cover.
really any action. We learn about the town, we learn about her costume, we learn about kind of superhero activity.
We learn about the ABB.
Activity in the area, we learn about the ABB, and, like, we're kind of ready for the next action. So it's very much a setup chapter.
Right. But I wanted to start by issuing an apology to you and all of our listeners. I made the incredibly bold and ultimately incorrect assertion that Brockton Bay, the city, was in Brockton, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, word of God on this issue is that Brockton Bay is not where Brockton is in our world, but is north of Boston. So
how could you?
Is it Portsmouth, maybe? I kind of want it to be Gloucester. Like, I think that would be really fun if, like, Gloucester had been, like, a huge...
history, but Gloucester's so much smaller.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, in a world where somehow Gloucester was, like, 5 times or 10 times bigger than it is. Like, that's kind of what I imagine.
That's the weird thing.
Head.
Like, most towns in Massachusetts are just not that big. Like, Massachusetts is really subdivided.
And even Boston is a small city.
Even Boston's a small city. And she says something about, like, we're not in the top 5 for, like, superhero presence or, like, population or, like, Cape population in the U.S., but we're probably in the top 10. I was like, what city on the, like, Massachusetts coast other than Boston could be in the top 10 for any number of anything?
Right.
Like,
but it feels like it's...
Portsmouth is kind of a good...
Yeah. I don't know whether Portsmouth gets mentioned or whether... Like, I don't know if it's sort of meant to be like, Brockton Bay is just another name for Portsmouth and it's 1-to-1, or I sort of interpret it more as like a little bit of a sliding doors thing. Like, this is the United States, but in addition to the fact that they're superheroes... For whatever reason, there happens to be this major city that doesn't exist in our world.
I mean, certainly I would invent a city rather than trying to use a pre-existing one if I wanted this level, like, I wanted more control over the fictional aspects of it.
Wildbow does not seem to be the type of author who wants to get into, like, what are the dynamics in world shipping that would have supported 2 cities the size of Boston so close to each other in this alternate reality? Like, that type of
it's not his interest.
Logistics doesn't seem to be what the story is interested in.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
In pursuing. And I am also fine with that. I feel like there's nothing lacking there. Yeah.
I was really entertained by Taylor's description of the bad part of town. She's like, yeah, that's where the crack whores and gangsters live. And I was like,
judgy much, Taylor.
That sounds like the description of a sheltered 15-year-old. How old is she?
And the part that got me, so there was that part. And then there's the part later where she's like, well, it's really late, so the only people out right now must be supervillains or, like, people who were, like, prostitutes and, drug dealers or druggies. And, like, so they'll deserve it if they get hurt in a cape fight, right? It's, like, a little bit of, like, victim blaming.
Oh, I missed that line.
Like, no. I'm reading into it. It's sort of like, well, if you're out in the streets of the city on Sunday night, you deserve whatever superhero punching happens to you.
Yeah.
And to me, it feels like a realistic thoughts for a girl like Taylor.
I mean, I'm curious how much, like, because it's a sort of dehumanizing view of the poor area of town.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how much this is, like, Taylor being a sheltered protagonist versus like a blind spot for Wild Bow. Like him just also being pretty young probably when he wrote it. I also, like, there were several things that were just, like, seemed really exaggerated in the description of the town. Like, yeah, she's, like, walking through this half of town. And this is a town that has, like, a ton of superheroes. Like, it seems like it has a ritzy part. Like, and she's like, yeah, most of these buildings probably don't even have electricity anymore. And I was like, what is this, Detroit? Like, this is, like, there are very few places in the U.S. where things are actually that run down. That, like, they wouldn't just get bought up and gentrified or, like, there wouldn't be some sort of intervention from, like, because obviously towns don't want to have parts of themselves that, like, don't have any,
I know,
like, utilities. That is a really extreme feature.
And again, comparing just to Boston, I was like, there must be so much good theater space in Brockton Bay. Like,
I was like, she said something about, like, there's always room inside. There's so many apartments. I was like,
no housing shortage.
Move there? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, with beachfront property, too expensive, but let's just be a few blocks from the beach in Brockton Bay.
It's apparently really close to the boardwalk also.
Yeah.
But then there's also stores on the boardwalk that sell dresses that are over $1,000. And I was like, that's actually very expensive, especially for a tourist area. Like, that's like real top of the line New York prices. That's not like ritzy boutique on the beach prices. So I don't know. It seems like there might be some extreme calibration of
and some of that vibe, it makes the city feel very Detroit. It also makes it feel, the like description of the boardwalk and like the super expensive boutiques makes me feel like Atlantic City, you know, like it kind of puts in mind of this, like the ritzy and the seedy parts of town so close together, you know, boardwalk empire kind of vibe. But it'll be interesting to kind of see if this thread goes anywhere while we keep reading. Taylor does tie it to the fantasy of the setting, where she says it's a top 10 city for capes, but it's also much more on the villainy side than most cities, because this sort of port city in decline, post-industrial, suddenly there was no shipping anymore for some reason, that has created a opportunity vacuum that supervillains have blossomed out of.
I was really intrigued by the world building there. She's like, she describes how, like, a lot of people were unemployed, so, like, either they scraped by or they, like, turned to, you know, things on the other side of the law. And then she's like, that's why supervillains came in, because of the potential for big money. And I was like, wait, where's the potential for big money? Where did that come from? Right.
And there's a bit where she's like, and all the, you know, like, the dock workers then wanted to become, like, henchmen or something. I was like, I don't know. Again, I don't know if Taylor is a good historian of Brockton Bay, or if this is just kind of the vibe, like the story that, an easy story that we'll learn a little bit more about. Yeah. And that reads very consistent with how a 15-year-old would see the city. I'll say, as someone who grew up in Baltimore, I was definitely, like, taught things about, well, these are the bad parts of town. Long before I understood the history of redlining in the city and why, you know, why parts of the city were kind of forced into an economic decline, right? Like, there is to me, there's a very relatable, like, oh, you know, teenager, like someone who hasn't. So,
and there's something kind of, like, I don't know. It's nice to see sort of that accuracy in a teenage point of view. I feel like mostly what you get in YA is kids who are just, like, way smarter and way more worldly than, like, most teenagers actually are. Or certainly most teenagers were 20 years ago, you know. It's kind of nice, actually, to see a protagonist who's like, she thinks that it's all, like, gangsters on this side of, like, this imaginary line.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, it's sort of, we're clearly setting up for some kind of confrontation in the ensuing chapters. And, like, we've gotten, like, just enough to kind of understand that we're going to be maybe having some kind of cape fight, and there aren't going to be a lot of people around. And this is the setting that, you know, lets us have that.
Yeah, it's almost entering a fantasy world where it's just capes versus capes, and, like, you don't have to worry about the rest of the world.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see if that, you know, whether that bears out or becomes more nuanced.
Right, later. I mean, this is a really long novel. I expect it's all going to get a lot more complicated.
Another thing that jumped out at me about, like, Taylor's characterization being really on point is when she's like, I'm approaching the ABB. I see Lung. This is really dangerous. And then there's like someone like lights a cigarette or something. There's a flash of light and she sees a gun. She's like, oh no, a gun. But that's silly because superheroes are way more dangerous than guns. I shouldn't be so upset about seeing a gun. And I'm like, Taylor, come on. You can still be worried about a gun even though there was something more dangerous nearby. Right? Like it feels like Taylor's like, I'm a reasonable, tough, like, superhero, and of course guns don't faze me. She's, like, really putting on this persona. Yeah. And I'm like, it's okay, Taylor. And anyone who is going out to potentially fight people with guns for the first time is going to have that reaction, and it is a reasonable one.
Yeah. And guns can kill you in very different ways than an extremely strong superhero could. Like, he would probably kill you more deliberately. A gun can, you can just be caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, assuming you can run away from Lung fast enough, you should be able to get out of there.
Yeah, he's not a ranged weapon, though he does breathe fire.
Right.
Well, but I like that as world building, because just pointing out, like, okay, but this, like, Lung is so much more dangerous than a gun is, that's like a powerful statement. That,
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are these people who are more dangerous.
Yeah.
And they're inherently dangerous. Like, you can't, strip that from them in, like, a metal detector, which is going to be a challenge in any kind of society with capes.
Right. And we've heard that Taylor expects her costume to be close to bulletproof. We have not heard from her that her costume is fireproof or dragon-proof. So it stands to reason that she's worried about where this might go.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a little bit making fun of, like, Taylor's perceptions of stuff. It does seem like there's some bad criminal activity. I mean, the way she describes it. So we have this gang, the Asian bad boys.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, I do want to say, I looked this up. It is funny, the Asian bad boys, but it is based on a street gang in California. Like, the name is the Asian boys with a Z, or ABZ. So Wild Bo is like very deliberately evoking that ABB, Asian Bad Boys.
Now, is ABZ a mix of ethnicities the way the Asian Bad Boys are?
They're Cambodian.
Okay.
This is as far as I'm aware, a Wild Boism. This is a gang that, for whatever reason, does not care about
actual ethnicity.
Yeah.
It was...
Which is a very interesting choice. I'm going to be curious to see if we get more sort of why is that.
And she says something about, like, I mean, there were a couple of very interesting things about the description. First, she says the members of the gang were just, like, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Korean kids who were, like, forcibly brought into the gang from, like, local schools and stuff. And I was like, wait, that's, like...
Yeah, they're conscripting people.
Situation.
Yeah.
And so not only that, she's like, there are a couple of, like, people with powers in charge, and, like, you can tell how powerful they are, that they can keep this, like, group of, like, multiple nationalities together. And I was like, it seemed like a strange choice to have them all be Asian, but to be, like, different ethnicities, but, like, it was, like, a little bit odd in a couple directions.
Yes, I have all the same reactions.
But they're, like, conscripting kids. That is really, like, what is happening in this town?
I know. Well, and you were saying earlier, the sort of exaggeratedness of it. Taylor doesn't seem to comment on that, but it does kind of give the impression of, like, oh, this is, like, a little bit, maybe dystopian is too strong a word, but, like, things are bad in this city, right? It's not like, it's not just that Taylor's going to the bad part of town, but it's like Brockton Bay might be in a bad spot overall.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm not an expert on gang dynamics, but my understanding is that, like, the positive part of gangs is that they provide sort of this found family for, like, kids who don't have anything else, or who, like, feel like they don't fit into mainstream society and, like, want this sort of power fantasy. And it's a little bit like, oh, actually, no, that it's just run by villains is, like, a very different, like, a kind of weird, like, approach to gangs.
Yes, but not one that is foreign to, like, superhero media.
No.
Right. True. It feels very much like this is a gang of bad guys.
Yeah. Although, are the, like, gang members bad guys, or are they, like, victims? I don't know.
That's a great point. Taylor's worried about the children, but how do we know that these aren't 17-year-old
I mean, she
conscripts?
said they're, like, taken from, like, the school, so I assume they are, like, mostly kids.
But also, what does Taylor know? Like, she's not working for the AUP. She doesn't know anything.
Yeah, that is true.
Another beat that feels very much like Brockton Bay is maybe like a city in crisis is the visual of the Brockton Bay boardwalk and then the Protectorate headquarters as this like beautiful floating city with like a force field bubble that is like the government's eye in the sky protecting the city.
Okay,
the symbol of
government
superheroes.
Because she said something about like the Protectorate headquarters are here, and I was like, oh wow, is this like a national organization and their headquarters are here? Like Brockton Bay is way more important than I thought. But then she said it was probably only top 10 for Cape presence, and I was like, oh, is this a government organization? Is this just superheroes getting together to like do cool stuff on their own? Like, what is I guess we'll find out.
We'll definitely find out. I think calling it a government building is maybe a little bit flip. To explain a little bit without getting into spoilers, this is the Brockton Bay chapter of a national superhero authority.
All right, so that makes sense. So it's the headquarters, but it's the local headquarters.
It's the local headquarters.
Okay. I was very amused when she's like, yeah, they have like a bubble, like force field bubble around themselves, and there's a missile defense system. I mean, they've never had to use either one, but it just makes you feel better knowing they're there.
Oh boy. Chekhov's missile defense system.
That, but also like just sort of already undermining the reasonableness of this organization. Like, this is like the shining beacon of protection. Right,
it's showy, but is it effective?
It's showy, and there's maybe some hypocrisy there. There's maybe some like, we just use it to feel better, but it's not really keeping us safe kind of dynamics going on.
And I'd be curious about sort of getting into the history of Brockton Bay, like the chicken and egg, like, did the industry leave and then the supervillains come and then they build the big, PRT headquarters instead of solving problems? Or was the Protectorate building always there? I believe she called
it PHQ.
PHQ. Was the PHQ always there?
There's a lot of interesting world building stuff. I am looking forward to meeting the Protectorate chapter. I assume we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about her costume? We get the full picture of her costume.
So we learned that it's all black and white, I think, except that her mask has yellow lenses. I'm not sure why she chose that. Do yellow lenses do something? I don't know.
I think it looks
cool.
Cool, like a creepy bug.
Like a creepy bug, that makes sense. She has armor on some parts of it. She didn't armor all the parts that she wants to eventually. But she armored, she said, her like most vital areas. And she also has like armor on her jaw that like looks like the mandibles of a bug.
Yes.
Yeah, so her mask seems like it's very scary looking.
Yes.
Doesn't protect the back of her head, but she hasn't
Which
totally
lets
finished.
her long hair kind of like fall out the back. I feel like this is like at least at the beginning of the story, I now have this great visual image of Taylor in the like, spider silk costume, painted black with like little like bug armor, like chainmail in different parts, and then the big helmet, the mandibles, the yellow bug eyes, and then her hair flowing out the back.
Yeah,
it's a very cool look.
Yeah,
very villain coded. I'm just gonna say, if I saw that person striding out of the darkness, I would scream. I would not be like, "Yay!" But what can you do?
You're like, man, this person seems so much more powerful than my gun.
Yeah, exactly.
I was intrigued. So we got introduced, maybe they'd come up before, I can't remember. The concept of supervillains seems to be a big thing in this world. I was curious. I mean, this seems like a relatively grounded world, despite, as you were saying, the aesthetics of comics and stuff being present. And in a relatively grounded world, you kind of have to ask, like, okay, what is the difference between a superhero and a supervillain? Like, are the superheroes working, like, specifically on the right side of the law? Like, are they super cops? Or, like, is it just a superhero, someone who hasn't committed supervillainy? Or, like, who hasn't broken the law with their powers? There's a lot of things that vigilante justice involves is, breaking the law. So it will be interesting to see, like, is it just public perception of them? Like, how is the line drawn?
Right. Is Lung like, I'm a supervillain? Or is Lung like, well, I'm actually doing, this stuff for other reasons?
Do the villains think they're villains? Like, in comics, villains usually do think they're villains.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah. I did have a thought about the beginning. Taylor runs too often. every morning and every other afternoon. She's running way too much.
Oh.
When are her rest days?
I admittedly, as someone who has always hated running, that did not occur to me.
I mean, I feel like she should be like running like, you know, every other day, 2 days out of 3. I don't know. Every day is just a lot, is what I'm saying.
Even if you're, what is she, like 15 or something?
You know, I don't know.
Teenagers can probably run 24/7.
I don't know. Maybe does the track team at a high school like run every day? Maybe they do.
I don't know. Track listeners, write in.
Yeah,
Tell us.
Yeah, get in the comments. That's going to be our catchphrase. We stole it from Brennan Lee Mulligan. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had. I said already that I don't think this gang is actually going to kill kids because, like, there's not that much profit in killing kids. Maybe they're supervillains and so they, like, put, you know, bad drugs in the water or whatever. But, like, you still gotta have a reason for your evil activities. And usually killing kids isn't a good means to any end. Like, you know.
So you're skeptical.
I'm skeptical. It just seems like a really impractical thing for them to be going off to do. Yeah, I think it'll turn out to be something else.
Yeah, and we talked about Lung and his power and stuff. One of the things you talked about his name, you said what his power does. One thing I wanted to mention is Taylor basically saying, well, this is what I have gathered about his power.
Oh yeah.
But I don't really know one, how powerful he can get and if there's any limit. 2, what actually triggers it.
Right, she was unclear on that, yeah.
And 3, sort of like, are there other aspects of his power that are like not public domain yet?
Like, because it would be in your best interest to keep your powers secret, especially if you're a villain.
Yeah.
You want to be able to catch your enemies by surprise.
That's like another little element of like the superhero procedural that I really like is Taylor's like, well, I did my research and this is what I know, but, you know, obviously I know that there are things I don't know.
Yeah.
It's those little details are so fun.
I was very surprised that he had like strength. Oh, he also has super fast healing. He had this sort of like strength, physical power, but then he could also breathe fire. And I was like, that seems really random. And then I was like, oh, he's a dragon and all this together.
Yeah. And Taylor never says his power is he can turn into a dragon. No. She just describes all of the steps, such as growing scales, claws, breathing fire.
Yeah,
and
becoming really strong.
He does have dragon tattoos. So at least Lung is aware.
He knows. And he has that name. Yeah, and that's interesting. Like, you know, you have someone like your Superman who just like has kind of all the powers. And in this world, I was expecting it to be more like you get a power. But when it's something like turning into a dragon, there are like several things that could be under that umbrella. So that's fun. Like that sort of thing.
It is
you
very
have like
fun
cluster
and exciting.
powers.
Yeah.
Oh, we did not mention, as she's going, she is like gathering a swarm, but she's like still keeping it on the back burner, so to speak. Like she's keeping it at a distance. She said if anyone was monitoring the cockroach activity in town, they might notice something was up.
A totally normal thing to worry about people doing, Taylor.
Yeah, so she has bugs waiting, and I'm sure they will get in on the action in some way.
The last thing that I wanted to say is I love the visual of the PHQ. And I also love the visual right at the end of the chapter where she's like, well, they're standing on the street corner. I don't think I can approach them unless I go up the fire escape and cross the roof. But then she's like, I don't want to make noise. So I'm going to walk along the edge of the building, like the lip of the roof, instead of going across where there are like, you know, leaves or trash or something.
I totally missed that. I was too focused on what's going to happen next.
I mean, like, it's like a totally... To me, it feels unnecessarily risky to, like, walk on the edge of the roof, but it also feels very, like, cool and also very, like, teenager to be like, oh, I'm in my costume and I'm just, here I go, la-di-da, like, walking carefully along the edge of the roof so I can eavesdrop. And then, you know, she crouches down and listens.
Nice, yes.
So I'll look and see if there's some good fan art of Taylor eavesdropping.
Should I make predictions? I don't know.
Of course!
Okay.
One of the key... things predict what's going to happen in chapter 1.4.
Okay, I do think that the children is going to refer to some other gang. Some rival gang.
Yeah. So it's like, she heard lowercase c children, but it's really capital C children.
Yeah.
What would the children's vibe be as a gang?
They throw yo-yos at you.
Oh, nice. No, they're like the kids from Recess, but supervillains.
But maybe they are all, like, teenagers and they go as the children because they can be like, you got beat up by a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I like it.
Like, you couldn't beat us and we're all children.
I like it.
They probably are not younger than teens. I think that would be, they wouldn't have powers probably. Yeah, okay, so I think the children are another gang. Maybe they're really creepy looking. Like, sort of the girl in the ring vibe. Yeah.
Okay. So what actually happens?
I think that it's going to be a problem. Well, okay, I have read more than this, so I have some vague memories, so I don't want to predict too much in that direction. I think it's going to be I don't remember this, but I do think it's going to be a problem that Taylor's costume is unfinished. We've heard a lot about that.
Chekhov's unfinished costume.
Exactly. I think her armor is going to come into play, and the fact that she has armor on some of her costume will be important and useful. I hope we get a lot of different types of bugs.
Okay. Yeah. Different types of bugs. Taylor's armor is tested. Sounds like Taylor's getting into a fight.
Oh, yes. I think she will get into a fight. Like, she's got to get in the action. She can't just watch.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right.
Well, we'll see what happens. Join us next time.
On Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.